Earth-Kundalini. An Occult Experience by George Sidney Arundale. Chapter 6. Sun-Kundalini and Earth-Kundalini. How wonderful a difference the stirring of Kundalini makes as regards sensitivity to influence either emanating from a center or aroused by activity, as for example in a church service. To go into a city is to feel as if every vital part drooped, as flowers droop for want of air. Under stimulating influences, such as proximity to a center of spiritual vitality, to some temples and churches, or the taking part in ceremonial activities, or in meetings highly charged with uplifting influences, the centers seem to unfold as a flower opens to the sun, and Kundalini glows throughout the body. And this unfoldment and glow make contact between the lower and higher bodies, bringing into the lower the influences of the higher. In the beginning of Kundalini development, it is at once a pain and a glory to contact such spiritual influences, a pain because Kundalini has not yet overcome the obstacles to its unfoldment, a glory because the fire of life eternal is flowing through every vehicle, and for the time being one lives in the larger consciousness. On occasions there will be an immediate intensification of Kundalini from the base of the spine, and a beautiful glow which serves to intensify identification both with the aspiration, which the occasion may have released, and with the descent of blessing for which the aspiration has become the channel. There seem as if there are two sources of Kundalini, or perhaps it would be more accurate to say that Kundalini plays between two poles, one positive the sun, one negative the earth, at all events so far as regards our particular evolution. The rod of power, well known to the deeper students of occultism, seems both to symbolize this fact and to express it. The negative earth globe at one end, the positive sun globe at the other, and the fire in each and in between. To hold the rod of power is to grasp the power of God. Few there be who may touch it. It is a focus on occasions of stupendous outpourings of force. The heart of the earth is one pole of Kundalini, the heart of the sun is the other. Now the awakening of Kundalini is tantamount to a fashioning of a shadow of the rod between the globes. In one sense one ever is a rod, but the rod is not yet awake. It is asleep or dreaming, and the fire itself slumbers. To awaken Kundalini is to fan the fire into a consuming flame, burning, purifying, energizing, making conscious contact with the universal fire. To awaken Kundalini is to draw the fire from earth beneath, from heaven above, so that the bodies, including the physical, become as a rod between the two great centers. The individual, as it were, steps consciously into the space between the centers and becomes charged with the interplay of force, with Kundalini. Let me try to visualize the process. I have written above of concentration on the base of the spine. But the base of the spine is in fact but a receiving station, a center of distribution. from the center of the earth and from the sun we draw the Kundalini power. We concentrate it at the spine base center and send it on its vitalizing way through the great centers of being. Up flows Kundalini from the earth, through feet and limbs, through the negative creative energy, the center of physical creation, into the globe at the base of the spine which represents and unifies both sun and earth. Down flows Kundalini from the sun, its overwhelming intensity tempered as it adapts itself to the undeveloped mortal man. Upward flows a stream of fire. Downward flows a stream of fire. And the streams meet at the spine base to weld as it were into a spear of concentrated force to travel upward on its appointed way. One think of the beautiful concentration of the mighty Juma and the majestic Gargar at Allahabad, whence they flow united down to the sea from which in very truth they came. So do Earth-Kundalini and Sun-Kundalini meet in the globe at the root of the spine, thence flowing as one great force into the Real, upon their surface the individual himself being carried onward into the light. The negative earth and the positive sun combine, and spiritual power is the fruition of the two. In some ways, of course, this description is very inaccurate. Perhaps the truth would lie in the suggestion that both negative and positive slumber, as it is well they should, until both are stirred into life. The negative is no less valuable than the positive. Each has its part to play, its work to do. Thus the individual, not merely his physical body but all his bodies more the non-physical bodies than the physical body becomes a rod between the globes, between earth and sun. At this point the student finds entering into the perspective of his vision the great triple fire symbolized in the Caduceus. The Caduceus fire and that of Kundalini lie close and together, forming a splendid rainbow of color. They subserve the same ends differently. There is intimate connection between the Caduceus formed of the central line of force and its male and female intertwining aspects and the fire of Kundalini. Though from one point of view the two forces are distinct, from another they are complementary and one might even almost say identical, being reflections of the activity facet of the diamond of fire. The Caduceus seems independently awakenable, that is to say, stirred into conscious usage on the part of the individual. But its relationship with Kundalini is intimate. The student whose experiences are here recorded was unable to pursue further the intricacies of the relationship and respective functionings of the Caduceus fire and the Kundalini fire. But in theosophical literature these are examined. All he could see was a stream of fire, differently hued, flowing from the root of the spine up into the head, with subtle connections maintaining ever open channels between those macrocosmic forces of which it is a current. It was very easy to confuse the Caduceus force with the force of Kundalini, for there is an eternal alliance between them, and the beginner always tends to perceive sameness before he notices differences. The student concerned had the distinct impression that while the fire of the caduceus offered a way of release, the fire of Kundalini offered a way of fulfillment. Phrases in these regions must never be taken very literally, for here there are no impenetrable compartments, each aloof from all the rest. But it seemed as if Sushumna with its Ida and Pingala aspects, the caduceus, were a route of release from confinement within the lower bodies, while the fire of Kundalini is rather in the nature of a witness guide to the identity of the larger with the smaller consciousness. The difference may be subtle, and from a functional point of view somewhat unreal. Yet it seems definite and probably has foundation in a fact not as yet clearly perceptible. Of some very close relationship between the two fires there seems no doubt. Meditation on these two fires was provocative of imaginings, speculations, which tended to get out of hand naturally so, since contact had been established with cosmic power, and there was a temporary illumination of the individuality with cosmic light. Immediately there was a sense of a swinging between the positive and negative forces of fire-like life, earth and sun. Are there negative and positive centers in all individualities, human, non-human, superhuman, subhuman? May we divide the centers we know according to their earth nature or their sun nature? Is the throat an earth center, and the heart a sun center? But such speculations lead the student into channels of investigation which for the time being are distinctly unprofitable. This audio file was created by Payoprita Basic. You can download it at payoprita.com.